I said all that to her. We communicated a lot. We talked everything out, but I still could just feel there's still something because I would continue to keep asking her. I would say, Nylah, how do you feel right now? What else do you want to tell mommy? And every time I asked her that, she would just keep telling me, you left me alone downstairs in the dark by myself, and I was scared. I was scared. And she would just keep telling me that. Finally, I decided to use the method that I often use on myself and all of our clients. I said, Nylah, I want you to repeat after me. Tell mommy this. Mommy, you left me downstairs and I didn't feel safe. I don't like you. I really hate you for that. I'm so mad at you for that. Mommy, you made me feel so unsafe. Mommy, I don't like you. You scare me. I felt scared. I don't like that. I'm really scared. I want to feel safe. I didn't feel safe. Mommy, you made me not safe. And I had her keep repeating until I felt that part of the energy came out. And finally, I said, Nylah, repeat after mommy and say, Mommy, I want to feel safe. I want you to keep me safe. I want to feel safe by you. And I am safe because I know mommy's around, daddy's around, angels are around, Buddhas are around. I am safe and our home is safe. Mommy, I love you and I am safe and I keep myself safe. After I had her repeated her anger, well, voice her anger out to me about what I did to her, about that I just left her, that she was left alone in the dark. After I let her voice that all out, after I let her be mad at me and be angry at me, after I let her repeat that I want to feel safe, to recognize her needs of being safe, her needs of mommy and daddy being there for her to keep her safe. After I let her repeat all that, I then asked her again, Nylah, how do you feel? And this is what she told me. She said, I feel happy. Welcome to the Wildly Conscious Mom Podcast, where we explore the art of self-love, conscious parenting, and spiritual growth. I am your host, Bridget Wayne, also the author of Soul Healing Journal, available on Amazon. In this episode, I want to talk about how we can heal our own inner child through having vulnerable, honest, and open conversation with our children. Our children often reflect the way we felt as a child, because whether we like to admit it or not, we often unconsciously pass down the generational pattern, energy, and emotion down to our children, even though we do the very best we can to not pass it down. In this episode, I share with you how my unconscious generational pattern showed up in my relationship with my daughter and how we work together to solve it and heal it together. I hope you enjoy it. This will probably be one of the most vulnerable and raw episodes that, what I've done so far up to this point. And I think it's very, very important and powerful and necessary. And that's why I want to get up here and share an experience that just happened a few nights ago, and also what I've been working on internally and how that's affecting my relationship with my kids, and kind of want to help bring the awareness to you that maybe how it may possibly show up in your relationships with your spouse, your family, or your children. So, one of the most powerful things happened a few nights ago. And this came from an experience that most people will probably judge us Bridget is a bad mom or not a good enough mom. But I feel like the outcome was so powerful and healing for both me and my 4-year-old daughter, Nylah. Our conversation helped me realize so much and really helped me open myself up to her and help her open herself to me. And through this conversation that I had with my daughter, it's made me realize that a lot of things she told me are actually a lot of things my inner child, inner 4-year-old child, 5-year-old, maybe up to, I don't know, 20, 30-year-old child have been wanting to say, but didn't fully recognize that's what I wanted to say to my parents. So here it goes. A few nights ago, I was about to put Nylah to sleep. And usually, when she's not tired, she will find all sorts of excuses to not sleep. And this time, she told me when I was about to put her to sleep, she told me she's hungry. And I thought, oh, you know what? She actually didn't eat that much for dinner. Yeah, maybe I should let her eat something before she goes to sleep. So we came downstairs. She said she wanted some soup with toast, and that's exactly what I made her. And she took a bite and she didn't want it anymore. And so immediately my mind went, oh my gosh, did she just use me to come downstairs to basically delay her bedtime so she doesn't have to go to sleep yet? And I got kind of pissed, not to like rage, but like, oh, you little. I mean, I didn't say that to her, but I was like, because after she said she didn't want to eat anymore, she was like, I want to play hide and seek. I said, no, right now it's sleep time. Let's go to sleep. And she refused to go upstairs to sleep. So I decided to turn off all the lights downstairs, thinking that when it's dark, she doesn't want to stay in the dark. She will come upstairs with me. And she didn't. So I just walked upstairs thinking that she would want to follow and come upstairs with me. And she didn't. She just stayed downstairs and crying. But as a mom, you can identify what kind of cry it is. And to me at the moment, I was upstairs in my bedroom listening to her cry, but that cry sounded like I'm fake crying until mommy comes and see if mommy will come and rescue me or stay here long enough, for however long. And so I probably let her be by herself and heard this kind of my perception as fake crying for probably about 5 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe less than 5 minutes. Probably around 5 minutes, I went downstairs and asked her, are you ready to sleep yet? She nodded her head and then she came upstairs with me. And I know she couldn't fall asleep. So usually what I would do is I would hold her and just basically hold her and walk around the bedroom until she's tired enough to want to fall asleep. So while I was holding her and walking around the bedroom, I just intuitively felt that I needed to apologize to her, even though logically I was thinking, you know what, like she tricked me. She tricked me to go downstairs to eat food, but really she didn't want to eat the food. She just wanted to play. She didn't want to sleep. And then I left her and I didn't even yell at her. I don't think I did anything wrong. And I let her stay by herself, or else I would have possibly yelled at her because I was pissed that she tricked me. That was going on in my mind. But so normally if I were to just follow my logic, I would have just let her be the way she was, or hold her to sleep and then just put her down to sleep, and that's about it. But somehow internally I felt I needed to talk to her about this. I needed to apologize. So I did. And I said, Nylah, I am so sorry. It was not okay of mommy to leave you downstairs to cry by yourself. And that's not okay. And I said, but can mommy tell you something? I said, when we went downstairs, you told me that you were hungry, and then you took a bite and you said you didn't want it anymore. You wanted to play. And I was not happy. Mommy was mad because you said you were hungry and then you took a bite and you didn't want it anymore. were you telling mommy the truth? And she shook her head. And I said, thank you so much for letting me know your truth. Thank you for telling mommy your truth right now. And then I continued to apologize and then walked her around. And then all of a sudden she opened up. She started telling me, she said, basically my translation, because Nylah is at an age, although she's 4, but she's not to the point where she's an expert in forming all her sentences yet. So from what I heard that I'm going to be translating to you right now, is she was basically telling me, Mommy, you left me downstairs by myself. And it was scary. There's gonna be monster. I don't want monster to come eat me. I don't want monster to come take me away. I was scared. And I said, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry you felt scared. And then for a long time, the conversation probably lasted about 30, 40 minutes. Yes, it was that long. And this whole time, she probably told me more than 10 to 15 times, probably more than that she didn't feel safe being downstairs. She would tell me, you left me downstairs. You left me by myself. And it was so dark, and I didn't want monster to come and eat me and take me away. Every time she tells me that, I would say, I am so sorry. And that is not okay for mommy to do that. I am really sorry. But no matter how much I apologize to her, I could feel internally, and I've done this kind of work enough. I've done this emotional work enough on other clients, on myself, to feel and know when something is resolved or something is still hanging on. But every time I let Nylah speak her truth and I will apologize, I will still just feel it's not resolved yet. And so throughout this conversation, I would let her know, I'm so sorry. What would you like mommy to do next time? What can I do to help you feel better? She said, and this is probably one of the most powerful things that she taught me. She said to me, I want mommy and daddy keep me safe. I want mommy to be there with me. And as she kept repeating that I want mommy and daddy keep me safe, I was scared downstairs. I was scared by myself. And I told her, oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Yes, I know now, Nylah. And I'm so sorry I made you feel unsafe. Mommy shouldn't have done that. And thank you so much for letting me know how you want mommy to help you feel better. Thank you for letting me know your truth. Thank you for letting me know that's how you feel. And can mommy also tell you something? Mommy is also learning. Sometimes when I get mad and angry, I am not myself. I am not fully myself. And sometimes I'm afraid that I will get so mad that I choose to walk away because I don't want to yell at you. And if mommy does that again next time, I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me, mommy, I want you to stay. And I will remember. I tell her to work with me on that because I want her to keep me accountable. I want her to tell me her truth. And she also told me this. She said, Mommy, when I went downstairs and I took a bite of the toast, then my body told me that I'm not hungry anymore. I was full. And you walked away, and I was alone, and I was sad, and I was scared. And I say, oh my goodness, I am so sorry, Nylah. I'm so sorry. So your body was full after that one bite? So your body said you didn't need food anymore? She said, mm-hmm. And then she continued to say, but you walked away. You left me alone all by myself. And I said, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you for trusting your body. Thank you for listening to your body. And I'm so sorry I misunderstood you. I'm so sorry I took that as you were trying to trick me. I'm so sorry. I should have trusted you. And I'm really sorry. And no matter, she would just keep telling me what was going on in her mind. What was she feeling when she was downstairs by herself? And I would just let her talk. And every time she tells me, I will recognize her feelings. I will recognize her truth. I will repeat what she said back to her. And I would tell her, I am sorry that I did that. I'm sorry that's how you feel. I'm sorry mommy made you feel that way. I'm really sorry. And I would communicate with her and let her know. I said, at any time, mommy, if mommy walks away in the future again, if mommy forget, you tell mommy to stay. And I will remember to stay. Or next time when you try to tell mommy something and mommy is not listening, I want you to yell at mommy and say, Mommy, I need you to listen to me right now. And then mommy will sit down and listen to you because I know that's important to you. I said all that to her. We communicated a lot. We talked everything out, but I still could just feel there's still something because I would continue to keep asking her. I would say, Nylah, how do you feel right now? What else do you want to tell mommy? And every time I asked her that, she would just keep telling me, you left me alone downstairs in the dark by myself, and I was scared. I was scared, and she would just keep telling me that. Finally, I decided to use the method that I often use on myself and all of our clients. I said, Nylah, I want you to repeat after me. Tell mommy this. Mommy, you left me downstairs and I didn't feel safe. I don't like you. I really hate you for that. I'm so mad at you for that. Mommy, you made me feel so unsafe. Mommy, I don't like you. You scare me. I felt scared. I don't like that. I'm really scared. I want to feel safe. I didn't feel safe. Mommy, you made me not safe. And I had her keep repeating until I felt that part of the energy came out. And finally, I said, Nylah, repeat after mommy and say, Mommy, I want to feel safe. I want you to keep me safe. I want to feel safe by you. And I am safe because I know mommy's around, daddy's around, angels are around, Buddhas are around. I am safe and our home is safe. Mommy, I love you and I am safe and I keep myself safe. After I had her repeated her anger, well, voice her anger out to me about what I did to her, about that I just left her, that she was left alone in the dark. After I let her voice that all out, after I let her be mad at me and be angry at me, after I let her repeat that I want to feel safe, to recognize her needs of being safe, her needs of mommy and daddy being there for her to keep her safe. After I let her repeat all that, I then asked her again, Nylah, how do you feel? And this is what she told me. She said, I feel happy. Now, what I just shared with you, a lot of people may have different thoughts and opinions and feelings about this conversation that I had with Nylah. Some of the thoughts may be, well, how can you teach your children to hate your parents? Isn't that, no, that's not good. No, isn't that teaching bad habits, bad attitude? No. And aren't we just recognizing being negative about this situation? Shouldn't we just like comfort them and make them feel better and just get over this? Or whatever the thoughts that you may have about this conversation or this situation. But the reason why I wanted to share with you about this conversation is because one, I've done this work so much on myself and hundreds of our clients to know this. that when we get to voice our anger, our resentment, and our fear, for those times that we didn't get to voice ourselves, we release that energies that have been stored in our body for a long, 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 long time and never got to be heard, never got to be seen. Because guess what happens here? Take a look at what just happened between me and Nylah. Did she continue to hate me after I let her voice her truth about she was mad at me, that she may have resented me for leaving her in the dark? No. When I asked her, how do you feel now? She say, I feel happy. I'm happy. And I will continue to ask her, do you feel safe? She said, yes. She now feels safe. Do you feel scared still? She said, no. Are you mad? Are you sad? She said, no. You feel safe? Yes. Feel happy? Yes. Because we just needed to let that energy out. How many times in our childhood, or maybe even in our teenage years, or even now during adulthood, when certain things happen, resentment comes up, or we feel fear, that we just shovel it away. And then thinking that we have to do something else to cover it and make ourselves feel better. But look at Nylah is my greatest teacher. One layer of it, this conversation has once again shown me that when we just let that energy out, when we just recognize our fears and our anger and our resentment, when we just allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel at the moment, those feelings don't need to keep staying there to get our attention anymore. And if we don't let it come out, it will keep staying until we allow ourselves to feel okay and to accept all that we feel. That's one layer of it. Another layer of the reason why I want to share this experience with you is because Nylah has shown me that, you know what? Everything she said was everything I wanted to say as a child, but no one held the space for me to say it. Here's the vulnerable part that I want to share with you, and also to let you know how all this all connects. So a few weeks prior to this incident that I had with Nylah, I was working with my mentor, Brian Ridgway, and I highly recommend to check him out. He's really amazing at what he does. So I was working with him on some of the issues that I have actually regarding to this podcast, which is very interesting. I started doing this podcast and I've noticed that, and I've always noticed this negative voice in my mind, but it's become extra obvious during this time when I'm doing the podcast now, how interesting it is. But anyways, so when I started doing this podcast, I would notice every time I record an episode, I would hear in my mind that stop talking so much, Bridget, because who's gonna listen to you? No one's gonna listen to, no one wants to listen to what you want to say. So make it short, make it short. Just get to the point, make it short. Yes, yes. I would often hear my own thoughts saying that. And instead of judging myself or sabotaging myself from continuing this project, I became aware of this voice and I go, oh, that's very interesting. Okay, I know I just got to look at that and work through it. So I brought it up with my mentor, Brian, and he helped me realize that those voices are not mine, are actually my parents. And he brought to my awareness that there's a big part of me that is constantly seeking for approval. And that came from my childhood of seeking approval from my parents that I never got to have. And so he gave me three major questions for me to reflect on, for me to really work through and realize. And these questions are actually really, really powerful. And I highly recommend that you allow yourself to be completely honest and vulnerable and naked with yourself when you work through these questions. Because when I did, it wasn't easy, to be honest, because it brought up a lot of shame, a lot of guilt and a lot of fear when I was working through these questions. Also, a lot of resistance. And I just recognize it and allow myself to take my time to reflect on these questions. And I got so much out of it. So here are the questions. Number one, what kind of approval have you been seeking and wanting from your parents? Number two, how have your parents taught you to seek approval? Number three, how have you been doing that to other people? And in my opinion, I thought number three was the hardest because it really requires me to look at my shadow and my what's perceived as ugly side. But I'm so glad that I went through all these questions and I had a huge awareness and process through a lot of fears and angers that I had from the need of seeking approval. So when I was working through these questions, and I'm going to connect it back to Nyla's incident. When I was really working deep into these questions, I've realized that approval represents, yes, a lot of time approval represents I'm doing okay, great job. On the surface level, I thought that that's what I was seeking, like for someone to tell me, I'm so proud of you. And for many, many years, that's what I wanted to hear from my parents. And up to this point in my life, I have not heard it. And I won't hear it from my dad anymore because he passed away last year. My mom is still alive and healthy. I'm really thankful for that. But I've sort of came to the acceptance that she's just not the type that will say those kind of words. I mean, she even has difficulty saying I love you to me at times. It's not because she doesn't love me. It's just it's uncomfortable for her to show love through words, if that makes sense. And so I came to the acceptance that even though I really wanted it growing up. And I think there's still parts of me that would love to hear that from my mom, but I've got to let it go. I've got to let it go. And I think I worked through that layer of it. And then another layer of approval that I realized through this whole process was approval doesn't just mean good job to me or that I'm proud of you. I've noticed, at least for me, that approval means safety for me. And I didn't even realize this or recognize this until I was going through the second question of how did your parents teach you how to seek approval, how to gain approval? And I realized that every time I would receive quote unquote approval is when I wasn't doing things my parents wanted me to do. And they would take safety away from me until I obey. Then I was approved. Then I was loved. For instance, the taking the safety away could be they beat the shit out of me, or not really my mom, but mainly my dad. Or they will yell at me. They will scream at me until I obey. Then once I obey, they will go, okay, then I can leave you alone, or now we can go play, or now we can do your own thing. So looking back, and it really, and I really had to take the time to strip down underneath the good job, I'm proud of you. What else is there? Why is it that I need approval? How else did I learn to seek approval from my environment, from the people around me? And so after that, or sometimes it could be, my mom was not so much the kind to yell or to beat the shit out of me, but she was more of the kind to be silenced, and she would walk away. She would take her love away, not cautiously. She wasn't cautiously trying to take her love away from me, but she will walk away. She will give me silence treatment, or I will learn that she gives my dad silent treatment. And as kids, parents love, mothers love. is very, very, very important. And I think as a child, I learned, okay, to always obey, or else mommy won't talk to me anymore. And that's the scariest thing that could ever happen to me, because daddy was already abusive. And I know I will always get in trouble with daddy. I never know what would happen. Could just be walking and daddy will be mad at me. And mommy was the only one who would give me love. So you know what? I must do all the right things. I must be a good girl in order for mom to never not talk to me again. And so this was all unconscious. And it wasn't until I processed through and looked at and reflect on these questions that I realized, holy shit, that has been the pattern. That no wonder I will always be in this state of fear in order to avoid being unsafe, in order to make sure that I am safe, in order to make sure that people around me love me. Because when they love me, when they are happy, that means I am safe. That means I am okay. And there's so many layers of that. And here's the thing, I'm now going to connect back to Nyla's incident. The third question was, how am I doing that to other people? When I processed through the third question, the first person that popped to my mind was Nylah. And it's very interesting because I realized before Nylah was born, one of my worst fear was that I would become my dad and yell at my kids and beat the shit out of them. I was afraid I would become like that. So I worked tirelessly to heal those parts of me that were wounded by those incidences so that I don't become like my dad. And I would say 90% of the time, pretty conscious. 10% of the time, I would still let the anger get the best out of me. But because I am aware of that, I know how much that could affect Nylah. Whenever I catch myself being angry like that, I would work it out with Nylah. I would talk it out with Nylah. I would let her be angry at me. I would apologize to her for what I did, you know. But one thing that I didn't really focus on, because it wasn't very obvious, was about my relationship with my mom. Because for a majority of my life, my mom is actually pretty cool. She's the quiet one. And a lot of times she doesn't intervene with what I do in my life. She's the type to suppress her emotions. She's the type to not talk about her emotions at all. If she's unhappy, she won't talk about it. If she's happy, she won't talk about it. Just no matter what, she won't talk about it. So, and I always have to guess. And I know, and how I know she's unhappy is when she doesn't talk. She shows a poker face, even stronger poker face. That's when I know she's not happy with me. And because I have such big contrast between my mom and my dad. My dad is the, loud voice, very obvious trauma that I had experienced with my dad, that my relationship with my mom didn't seem so obvious. And because it wasn't so obvious, I didn't think to process the wounds that I had with my mom. But through processing these three major questions that I've noticed, I did an amazing job not to become like my dad, but I became my mom. And there's no right or wrong about this. But it brought up to my attention that when my mom was not happy, she would walk away. And when I'm unhappy with Nylah, I would walk away. In my mind, and it wasn't until I processed through these questions that I've noticed, like prior to reflecting internally about what I'm actually doing, every time I would walk away, I would justify it. And I didn't even know I was justifying it. I just thought I walked away because I didn't want myself to yell at Nylah. and I was protecting her from myself. So let me walk away so I don't yell at her, because I know how angry I am right now, or how frustrated that I am right now. On a logical level, that's what I thought I was doing. But on a very deep level, and this really takes honesty, bravery, and vulnerability with myself to realize this on a deeper level. For me to walk away was in one way, shape, or form for me to gain control of her. If you think about this, if you remember what I said earlier, I said, Nylah was downstairs. She didn't want to go upstairs to sleep. I wanted her to come upstairs. So I turned off all the lights. So then she will have no place to go but to come upstairs. And then, yay, I'm in control. I got her to do what I wanted her to do. Most people probably don't even want to admit to themselves that's what we do, because our defense mechanism, when I talk about this, a lot of people will probably go, but yeah, you gotta do what works, right? Because you're already fucking tired. And she's gotta go to sleep. We will have all the reasons of why we do the things we do. And it's okay. I'm not saying if this is right or wrong. And if this is the relationship you want to continue to have with your children, go ahead and do what works for you. But if you feel like there's something deeper that you want to resolve for yourself, that you want to stop continuously passing down these generational patterns that we aren't even aware that we're doing, if you want to start having a more conscious relationship, conversation with your children and with yourself, then start asking yourself different questions to realize what is underneath, what is actually happening. And I will tell you this, there was a lot of shame. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of guilt to admit to myself, that's what I've been doing with Nylah, the same way my mom was doing to myself. And I bet you she didn't even realize that. She still doesn't realize that's why she does the things she does. That when she walks away is how she gains her power back. Does she do anything wrong? I wouldn't say it that way. She probably chooses to walk away to gain her power back because majority of her life, she didn't feel like she could be heard. And she didn't know how else to gain her power except to walk away. Is that her fault? I don't perceive it as her fault. I perceive it as generations and generations that we have been treated powerlessly. We just need to do all the right things of what the authority figures tell us to do, or else. And in order to keep ourselves safe, we got to find certain ways to feel okay, to feel safe, to gain our power back. And maybe that's how she learned to gain her power back. Is it the highest and best way? It's what served her until she realizes there's a better way, until she chooses a different way. That's what's going to be continuously to serving her. And same thing in our relationship with our children. Whatever's been working will continue to work the way it does. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. It just is, until we bring it to our conscious awareness of what are we really doing? How are we really communicating with our children? A lot of the things that we do with our children, 95% of it to 97% of it is from your subconscious. And until you choose to bring the unconscious, subconscious to the conscious awareness, you're going to continuously operate from that same energy you have been operating for years. And this is why I want to share this experience with you. not just for your children. You know what? I mainly want to share this with you for you, because Nylah has taught me through her telling me that mommy leaving her, what made her feel unsafe. She brought up the awareness for me that for many years I had to feel unsafe. And I have done so many things from a place of needing to feel safe, needing to, I got to do all the right things, say all the right things in order for people to like me, to be okay with me. Because when they like me, to be okay with me, that means I am safe. And my conversation with Nylah has also given me the permission to basically speak my truth. Mom and Dad, I didn't feel safe. I know you guys were angry, but you know what? What you did to me or for me when I was little made me feel sad and angry and scared a lot of times. And I think it's also time for me to recognize and admit to myself that this is how I felt for a long, long time. And it's okay. It's okay to feel all these things towards our parents, because only when you allow yourself to feel the anger, the sadness, the fear, that you'll be able to heal it like Nylah. You'll finally be free from these emotions, finally be free from these fears. And what comes out of it will be what Nylah taught us. I feel happy because you no longer have these feelings of unsafe in there. That's the feelings of insecurity, the feelings of fears, the feelings of unsafe are heard. Because they're heard, now we can love it. Because they're heard, now we can embrace it. We can heal it. We can give it love and safety. We can hug it and kiss it. We can say, I'm sorry and I love you. Please forgive me and thank you. This is the power of bringing what is underneath the surface into your conscious awareness. This is the power of you having conversations with yourself, truthful conversation with yourself, honest conversation with yourself of how you feel right now, how you have been feeling all these years, how you have been feeling since little kid, how you have been feeling that has been there, but it's been there for so long that you're not even aware that's what you've been feeling anymore. This is the power of bringing awareness to these feelings and talk it out and allow yourself to be angry, to be sad, and to be fearful. I had to let Nylah be angry at me. Only when she was allowed to be angry at me that she feel permitted to be happy, to feel safe again. And how many of us have that little child inside us that didn't feel permitted to feel angry, to feel sad, to feel fearful? How many of us had the parents to hold our hands and to listen to us truthfully, openly, without judgment? And every time we speak our truth, for our parents to say, I'm so sorry, that's how you feel. Thank you for letting me know your truth. I didn't experience that. I don't know if you did. And when I did that with Nylah, she didn't have to hold on to those feelings anymore. And imagine if you do the same thing with yourself. And imagine when you experience your own healing, that you get to walk through this journey with your own children, because now you know how to do it. And they're learning from you every step of the way. What if that's all we ever need? To listen, to recognize, to accept, and to receive love.